God, I just can't wake up today. It's a good thing I got one of these.
Whoa.
All right, hey, here we are at episode 9 of the Essential Wrestling Podcast. My eyes are burning. My name is Karl. This is episode 9. This is our Outdoor Caesars Palace WrestleMania episode. Bobby the Heenan came down backwards on a camel. Pretty much that was it for the show. With us again this is Double Play Tuesday here on the I-95 Sports Network. This is part 1. Stay with us later on tonight as Scott Hairston joins Joey Jarzenka in the Primetime Zoom interview series. That'll be later on tonight at 10 o'clock after this show. But right now, we are live here. This is the Essential Wrestling Podcast. Tyler, again, once had another prior commitment. I think we made the wrong choice picking Tuesdays as our day to do this podcast. I'm not sure if we're going to have a meeting going forward with that. Tyler should be back in all seriousness next week. He's got a family function to go to today. With us again, though, we got John Smith back. John, how are you, buddy?
Good, man. I just want to send out a quick birthday shout-out to 2 wrestling legends. First, Terry Funk, who we all know and love. And second, the captain of the Raw Women's Division, Alicia Fox.
Really? I can't imagine the size of that birthday hat she's wearing. She's got to have that. She's got to have a hat for that. And also joining us again, the first ever PWP Pro Wrestling Pick'em Champion, John DeConnie. John, how are you today, pal?
Good. Thanks for having me aboard again, Al. Much appreciated.
I'm glad to have you, pal. I got to talk Impact with somebody. On today's episode, all right, we got Sasha Banks with a big pinfall win last night on Raw. A Wyatt Swamp match. Said that correctly. A Wyatt Swamp match was booked for Extreme Rules. Slammiversary main event is kind of in distress at the moment. The second round of the New Japan Cup began. We're going to main event the show with All Elite Wrestling and Fyter Fest Night 1 coming up tomorrow night. And before we get to the curtain jerk of the show, we just had some breaking news earlier in the wrestling world. I just want to get to touch on real quick. Thanks to our senior United Kingdom correspondent, Gary Mahaffey, and also a close friend of the show, Jason Weston. They were keeping us posted with the conference call that happened with NXT UK, with Triple H and all their wrestlers. I don't want to say it was all about nothing. It was more protocol with the speaking out movement and what happened with Travis Banks and El Ligero. The only further news that 2 referees were terminated as well, and Joe Coffey happened to get suspended apparently. But there was a lot of UK news just broke. But the good news is that's coming out of it. They're going to be taping as soon as possible. The NXT United Kingdom division is going to stick around. They're just waiting to get the green light to go forward, which is great news. I love the UK. I can't wait to be talking about the UK. Last we left off on the UK, Ilya Dragunov won a battle royal with every big name that NXT UK had to offer was in that battle royal, and he earned the right to challenge Walter for the NXT UK Championship. So that's where we left off with them, and I'm looking forward to that. Dragunov been improving, but we will table that discussion hopefully going forward. Talk about the NXT UK, but right now we're going to curtain jerk the show with a massive NXT North American Championship triple threat match that took place last week. John Smith, as our senior NXT correspondent, take it away.
Well, I think the general consensus was that Finn Balor was going to win that match, so Triple H went the other way with it, and now I guess we're going to see Karrion Kross interfere for both of them next week to get his revenge on both Keith Lee and Adam Cole. I think the triple threat was awesome. It really made Keith Lee look strong. It made him. I mean, you beat Balor and Gargano. How are you not on the same level as now, like a Ciampa, a Cole, or even a Kross? Since what Kross did to Ciampa,
and he pinned Finn Balor. He pinned him. He was Balor was the one that got the 3-second stand, 3-second tan. I really got to stop so we can come up with stuff on the fly. John DeConnie, Like I said, we all picked Finn Balor. Kenny P went out on a limb last week, picked Gargano. What did you make out of all this?
I think it was a fantastic match. You know, you look at a match like that. I don't want to say on paper because I guess if you're paying attention to NXT, you know who Keith Lee is. You know what Keith Lee is capable of. But you look at it and you have two smaller guys with similar, faster styles, and then you got the big Haas. And you think to yourself, the match it may suffer a little bit. They may have to slow down here and there for Keith Lee, but not when it comes to Keith Lee. Keith Lee is everything that we tried to make Bam Bam Bigelow out to be 20 years ago. He is a flat-out athletic freak of a big man, and that match was fantastic.
Hey, I spy a Jersey guy in Bam Bam Bigelow.
Big fan.
Keith Lee, somebody mentioned this on a Facebook page. He's got a rocket up his ass, and he completely does right now. Between that win right there was huge. Undefeated in takeover events, which is huge right now. I think he's 2-0 or 3-0 or whatever it was. But we got to rewind back to the Survivor Series where when he came down to him and Roman Reigns at the end. Yep. He fell short, but Reigns gave him the rub, shook his hand, raised the crowd, whatever, crowd pop for Keith Lee, and then you got to go to the Royal Rumble. Now here's just something that that people don't really give Brock Lesnar credit for, but Brock took a step back when Keith Lee got into the ring with him. Keith Lee went in there in the midst of when Brock was tossing out his 13 in a row, and Brock sold him. Brock sold him. Big boy. I think the big boy was the exact phrase he used. So Keith Lee's high on everybody's radar. But by no means we didn't pick him to win it. And I believe part of the reason was, the champion versus champion with Cole and Balor would make the most sense. But Lee's got to get the nod at some point soon. I think if they would have skipped an NXT title reign from Keith Lee and just threw him right on SmackDown or Raw or wherever he ends up, maybe that's why I was kind of thinking too. Everyone's saying that he was the next to be called up.
Yeah, I think the reason no one picked Lee in our picks was it's set up to be an easy way to let him lose the strap, move on without looking bad because somebody else can take the pinfall. But
especially with Karrion Kross interference, that's what we were all calling too because he broke the hourglass. Speaking of Karrion Kross, we kind of got what we wanted last week. John John Swift, I'm sorry. You texted me that night with the exact time. We had the over and under at 60 seconds. What was the time of the Karrion Kross Bronson Reed match?
Oh man, I want to say it was 2 minutes and 22 seconds, or maybe 2 minutes and 12.
Yeah, it was somewhere. It was the over. It was over 60 seconds. It was over 90 seconds.
222. It was 222.
But that was what we wanted. I think that was a power display by Karrion Kross. Bronson Reed got some licks in too, but it looks like I believe it was the cross jacket.
Yeah, basically the way we figured it would go.
I'm sorry, John. What was that?
I said it went the way we figured it would go, but I mean, we said it was going to be over a minute, under a minute and a half. But I think because they're two lumbering, take their time kind of guys, especially after somebody gets a big move hit on them, they like to pose or scream. So I feel like that's why it went a little longer than we expected, but it didn't go. It wasn't a real, barn burner of a match back and forth or anything.
No, John Licani, John has hit the nail on the head. Anything you want to add to that? I mean, it was a power display by Karrion Kross here.
Yeah, exactly. Once he no-sold a German suplex, popped right back up and destroyed him and finished the match. There's not much left to say.
Somebody picked Cameron Grimes last week, and I believe everybody was laughing at me when he did. Cameron Grimes, I mean, by hook or crook, he's turning out to be a real big piece of crap. Jumps him, beats him up in his car before the match, and then works the injury to win the match with two. What is he? He calls them Caimans, right?
Caveman. Yeah.
I know he's the caveman, but I think it's Cayman or something.
It's the cave in. Yeah.
But yeah, Grimey's that's two huge wins by hook or crook on Cameron Grimes' resume. Between Finn Balor and Damian Priest, and even the rematch that he lost on Balor, that was not a squash like we made it out to be. Grimy held his own, and that was about a 15-minute match. More love for Cameron Grimes, John Smith, that's the NXT guy right there.
I love what he's doing. He's I don't know. He's just got it when it comes to being a heel. He knows what buttons to push. He just has it. I think eventually we see him as North American champ and, doing a honky tonk man type thing where he's always running away or getting counted out or getting DQ'd. I could definitely see him having that strap and never successfully defending it once.
Yeah, well, he does. He is under 205 as well. He could do that. I know that belt's occupied, and we'll get to Santos after this. John the Connie, grime time.
Yeah, he's positioned himself perfect once all this mess at the top of the card weeds itself out. Just like John Smith said, I think he makes perfect sense to be in the mix for that next era of North American Championship turmoil that will happen when at some point you have a double champion and at some point you're going to resplit the titles. Probably, I don't know, maybe have a little mini tournament round robin to fill that North American title. And I think Grimes, you got to figure it's going to be right in there because the guy can go and he can go on the mic.
Now, I don't remember off the top of my head all 8 guys that were in that breakout tournament. I remember a couple of them. I remember the winner's actually not with the company anymore. I remember Angel Garbs was in it, and now he's skyrocketed. And then and then Grimy was in there as well. I remember Grimy had a first round win. I believe he did make it to the semifinals. He might have lost. I don't remember who he lost to. Maybe it was Dexter. I forget. No, Dexter Loomis was in it too. The guys that were in that tournament are shining right now, with the exception of the guy who won it and Bronson Reed. I guess he's back on TV now, but he's serving a purpose just to be feed for Karrion Kross. Speaking of Santos Escobar, we have the name of his little faction, stable, trios, tag team, whatever. We're going to have, just so you guys know, once Tyler gets back, and if we have a slow week or something like that, we are going to sit down and have a conversation on the definitions of what a faction is, what a stable is, what a 3-man team is. It's because the New Day was labeled the greatest faction of all time, and they're not a faction in my head. But anyway, they are called Ligueros de Fantasma, so they're sticking with the Fantasma name. Great match with him and Jake Atlas, John Smith.
Yeah, I was a big fan of that one. They were all over the place. Fantasma, or what's his name, Escobar. He's got it too. He's got that heel thing going for him, and I don't know. I don't see him getting involved in anything other than the 205 division at the moment, just because I think he's going to dominate for a long time.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to get that belt on him. Like I said, I know NXT UK's in a little bit of a mess right now. As far as I saw, NXT UK Takeover Dublin is still on his plan right now. So at the end of October. And like I said, Jordan Devlin's name was on the list, that speaking out list. So there's a lot going on with the actual cruiserweight champion. I believe they dropped the name interim John the Connie. Are they just announcing him as the cruiserweight champion now?
Yeah, I haven't heard interim since just before the end of the tournament. So I guess they're going, just in case, they're covering all bases, and they can find a way to write Devlin back in. If and when the time comes that he gets stateside and they want to put those two together.
Yeah. I really hope Jordan Devlin survives this. I'm such a big fan of his, and I'm going to be extremely disappointed.
Absolutely.
So going forward, like I said, let me see if I can find what I'm looking for here. No, the NXT logo's got to stay. All right. No, it doesn't. The Great American Bash was announced by NXT. We got cool new graphics here we're going to be using for special events. The Great American Bash is back. Triple H brought it back to compete against Fyter Fest. It's going to be a fun 2 weeks. Both shows are too big for just one night. Before we get into the picks, I got some fun here. Here are our records that we've been keeping track of for the pay-per-view events and the special events. Tyler jumped out to a big lead. For those that don't know, the point scoring system for PWP, it's usually 5 points for the heavyweight championships, 3 points for every other title, and then 1 point for non-title match. Those 2 times I bet against Drew McIntyre are biting me in the ass right now. And then we go dig a little deeper into NXT. Our senior correspondent, John Smith, he went 5-1 at In Your House. That's why he is the man for this. So we're going to start off right now. John Smith, we got your boy. We got Dexter Lumis and Roddy Strong in the first ever strap match in NXT history. Who do you got? I got a funny feeling I know who you got.
Well, I got Dexter Lumis, but I'm more excited for the strap match. I haven't been excited for a strap match probably ever, whether it was a strap match, a bull rope match, whatever you want to call it. I've always thought it was too gimmicky, but the whole way that Roddy Strong is so afraid of Dexter and he's always trying to get away from him, I love this dynamic to the match.
And John Smith, we forgot to mention this last week. Again, I know you're a huge fan of this guy. The acting job of Kyle O'Reilly as the psychiatrist for Roderick Strong. I am so excited now for the movie that he's filming to come out. He's got an Oscar written all over him. Great work by Kyle O'Reilly. John DeConnie, is it last week? Okay, so I had a little bit of a rough night last Wednesday night, and I was outside talking to my fiance, and I happened to look in at the TV out of the corner of my eye, and I see Roderick Strong running for his life, trying to jump over the barricade and crash into the glass. And I'm trying not to laugh because we're having a bad night. I'm just like, oh my god. But Strong got away last week. Where do you see going with this, John?
I think at some point we definitely will get the comic relief of Strong getting spooked by Lumis and jumping over the top rope only to hang himself with the strap or something for a few seconds. I think it's going to be there's going to be some humor involved in it, but I think even if it's not necessarily in this match, maybe because of the strap, you don't get exactly the match that you're looking for. But we've had a lot of fun with these two. But at some point in time, they're really going to go, and I think both of them will put on a heck of a performance. We know Strong will, and I've seen no reason why I wouldn't believe Dexter Lumis is going to be able to match move for move with him and give us a heck of a performance.
No, not at all. I got full confidence in Dexter Lumis to do this with Roddy Strong. I'm going Roddy Strong. Still not sure if the Velveteen Dream is going to be helping him. Apparently, I guess I'm not going to pull up SpongeBob again. Pretend SpongeBob's up right now. Velveteen got in a car accident. I don't know. I hope he's okay if he did. But he's got Bobby Fish at ringside, and there's no disqualifications. I got a funny feeling this might be a little too Undisputed Era-ish. So I'm going to go Strong with the win, and then Lumis will win whatever match they do next. Interesting developments with the Robert Stone brand. We have a handicap match here tomorrow night where Aaliyah and Robert Stone are going to fight Rhea Ripley. And if Ripley loses, she has to join the Robert Stone brand. John Smith, we're going to keep on leading with you with NXT. This is your wheelhouse.
I do not see her joining the Robert Stone brand. I don't think they've built this up long enough and made us care enough for her to lose this match. I think it's got her pinning what's his face all over. What's his name?
Robert Stone.
Yeah, Stone. I almost called him Roddy Strong. I always get them mixed up. Not their characters, obviously, just the name.
Right.
But yeah, that's the way I see it going.
Now, John DeConnie, we have seen this before. I think John Cena had to reluctantly join the Nexus. I believe, remember I mentioned last week with EC3 spitting water in Jeff Hardy's face and Impact, I do believe Jeff Hardy was forced to be his servant. I believe Shawn Michaels and JBL had a similar thing. Are we going this way with
Bryan and the Wyatt family?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's my take on it. My take is, why do this if you're? I don't know on what planet they're going to let Rhea Ripley lay down. I don't know if it's going to be. You get no DQs in a handicap match, right? So I don't know how they're going to pull it off, but I see the only reason for making Ripley agree to this is to then reluctantly have to join the Robert Stone brand.
Yeah, John Smith. That's why you shouldn't. There are disqualifications. It's a handicap match. I mean, it's not like
it's a tag match, I believe.
Yeah,
I don't think they've mentioned
anything.
anything like 2-on-1.
I know it just seems like Rhea Ripley's lost right now because, as we'll get to probably in a match or two, the Fatal 4-Way, the challenge Io Shirai, and Rhea's not involved in that. This is all she's up to right now, so she's kind of lost in this championship shuffle. So I guess it would make sense for her to kill some time until this next title match or situation with the winner and Io. There's a possibility. I don't see it. I think this is a nice win for Rhea. I don't think they would do this to Rhea and make her somebody's lackey, you know?
Yeah, how are you going to lose this match after she dropped the belt to Charlotte and she hasn't been doing much since?
Yeah. Yeah, she took the pinfall at In Your House as well. So I'm going to go with Ripley. Why not? Yeah, just give her the win. Let her keep going. I don't think it'll benefit anybody if she joins with Robert Stone. And again, I just wanted to throw this out there. Robert Stone and Aaliyah have a match at the Great American Bash. Has anybody seen Chelsea Green? Didn't think so.
Still MIA.
Yep. This one's going to be a fun one, boys. This one has just got bruises and hard hits and just violence written all over it. I'm excited for this one. Before you get into your pitch, John Smith, how do you like these Thatch Can segments?
It's my least favorite part of his character right now. I don't like the way, like, it's almost like he's a bully to these students of his. Like, where does that come from? It doesn't make sense to me. Why is he, as such a tough guy, being a bully to these guys and torquing submission moves? He's not, the sensei of Cobra Kai over here.
Yeah. John DeConnie, you want to follow up on that? I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure something out.
Yeah, no, he's not the sensei of Cobra Kai. I think more of what they're doing is making him Stu Hart. You hear all those legendary stories about how Stu would stretch guys in that basement until they were screaming just to see whether or not they were worthy of coming back the next day. So that was the feeling I got from it, from watching those little vignettes.
Show some discipline. That was that big Stu. That was the big Stu Hart one. Show some discipline. Have some discipline. Yeah. It's something to do with him, I guess. I mean, if he's just like a wrestler's wrestler and he wants to be the submission guy, I mean, he is a wrestler. They put him in that match with Riddle. They put him in the Lion's Den or whatever they called it.
Yeah.
This is just a way to, I guess, make him legitimize him more. I don't know. I think Oni Lorcan's a great opponent for him. I think we'll all agree here. Thatcher gets the win all the way, but this should be fun. Oni Lorcan is high on my list. There's nothing more vicious in wrestling than an Oni Lorcan hot tag. Have you ever seen him come in off a hot tag and he just destroys people, and it's so much fun to watch. And then there's the Fatal 4-Way match. We just found out that it is an elimination match. We are happy that is instead of just a one fall, but the winner of these 4 young ladies will be the next challenger for Io Shirai and the NXT Women's Championship. John Smith, who do you got? I don't know where it even. They didn't really have much last week. I know Dakota Kai had a tag team match, which they won.
Yeah, I'm going with Dakota. She's got Raquel on her side. It is a 4-way, so it's most likely no DQ. Although, the ref can use his discretion to kick people out. But I see Dakota Kai getting some help for the victory. Her, Candice LeRae, I could also see winning. I think either way, it's going to be a heel victory. But I definitely got Dakota Kai. I think this is her chance to show us if she belongs in that title picture.
I like that thought. I like that a lot. I love Dakota Kai. John DeConnie.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing along the lines of it being a heel victory and some kind of heel tactic for the win, but I'm going to go with LeRae for the very reason that you touched on, John, that perhaps Big Mommy Cool gets booted from ringside and eventually LeRae finds the heel roll-up or some kind of chicanery.
That took me a second. I thought you were talking about Gargano at first. I didn't. Like, why would you call it Gargano? Oh, Raquel. Never mind. Okay, so I said this is more of a process elimination thing for me. That's usually how I do these, and I actually don't play out. Not to say play out the eliminations, but Mia Yim's had her shot. I just think I I just not Mia, not right now. I think Candice LeRae is eventually going to be the one that beats Io. I just don't think it's going to be now. So I don't think it's going to be Candice LeRae now. I think that'll happen at a TakeOver. They've already fought once at a TakeOver and it stole a show in a non-title match. And if you put, Hunter's got no problem putting them out there on a TakeOver. So I don't know why you wouldn't save that for that. Which leads me to my two girls, my two favorite NXT women's wrestlers, and Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai. And I'm just gonna go against the face versus heel thing. I'll go Tegan. I'll go Tegan for a one shot on a Wednesday. It might be next week. You never know. It might be next week. They really haven't announced much other than Cole and Lee for next week, night 2 of the Great American Bash. Maybe Io defends it. That would be a huge match to put up against Fyter Fest. Against any one of these girls, Io versus to go up against Fyter Fest. And then speaking of our NXT Women's Champion, Io Shirai, and Sasha Banks threw out a video on Twitter over the weekend. She wasn't happy that Io Shirai came out after their tag team title defense a couple weeks ago on NXT. She says NXT is her house. Sasha Banks took exception of it. And we're getting more of Sasha and Bayley, John Smith.
Yeah, it is non-title. It makes me wonder what the heck they're going to do here, because if it was a title match, I'd clearly have Io winning this. Non-title, it can go so many different ways. I still have Io winning it, though. I think that they're going to show us that Io is a dominant champion this way, because she didn't get to pin Charlotte. She pinned Rhea. So if she gets, Sasha might be the second or third next best thing to pinning Charlotte. So that's the way I see it.
It seems to me like with Becky on maternity and Charlotte having a surgery of some sort, they're just pressing the Sasha button over and over and over again. John DeConnie.
Agreed. We get more and more of Sasha every week in every way possible. Personally, I've had more than enough of her, but I understand why they keep rolling her out there. A lot of people seem to like her. I really have no feeling on how this one ends. If it wasn't for the fact that I'm assuming the main event of night 1 at this point of Great American Bash, I would absolutely call for a no contest. But I don't think NXT of all factions would pull that on the main event, especially when they're going up against Fyter Fest. So I guess I'll go with Sasha since it is a non-title match. I just don't know how they get there without making anyone look bad and
I completely agree. There has to be a winner in this, because this is probably, if you want to get specific here, this is going to go up against Cody versus Hager. So if they're going to lose a lot of viewers for night 2 if this ends in some kind of debacle,
right?
And you're going to have a lot of AEW fans talking a lot of crap. I'm going to go with Io just to keep this rolling here. I'm going to go with Io. It's her show. It probably would have been Charlotte, I would think. Maybe this would have been Charlotte in a title match if Charlotte wasn't getting surgery. Sure. But I just think it'll be a great match. It'll be a great win for Io. And the one thing I want to point out here, and I will point this out at Fyter Fest for their strength, 3 to 5 matches are women's matches. That's NXT's strength. That's what they're strong with. And as at Fyter Fest, you got 3 tag team matches. The tag team division is their strong point. So it's interesting to see how this is going to match up, with ratings and whatnot, and who thinks what's better. And obviously, I love it all. I know you guys love it all, minus Cody Rhodes and John Smith. So we are going to switch gears now, going from Fyter Fest, from the Great American Bash. Again, real quick, to play along with us in the Essential Wrestling Podcast pool, go to ProWrestlingPick'em.com. Play against your friends. Play against the universe. Forgot to do that before. Both nights of the Great American Bash and Fyter Fest are on the site. Please play against us. We want to see how you guys do. There's a gentleman by the name of Kathion or something. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a bunch of weird letters jumping together. But there's a complete stranger in first place. I hope he's watching. We'll give him the shout out if he is. And then Tyler's winning between the four of us right now because he's actually doing pretty well in WWE. But John DeConnie, as our senior Impact correspondent, you had a busy week.
Yeah. Impact is, for a lot of months now, they've kind of been treading water. They don't have a lot of direction. Obviously, their champion was somewhere in a Mexican prison or whatever. Could not get north of the border, and they've since released her, terminated her contract, stripped her of the title. The seeming heir apparent got caught up in the latest hashtag movement. He's since been released. So now they have Slammiversary coming up with a lot of interesting could-be's. A former world champion will return, at the very least one. And a couple other people dropped hints that they might be showing up. We had Heath Slater say that as of July 18th, he could do whatever he wants. And we already know he's got a pal in the company, so you don't know if he's going to show up, night one or what have you. So there's a lot of I'm very much interested in what happens between now and July 18th.
Yeah, Slammiversary main event, and through the course of Slammiversary history, John DeConnie, correct me if I'm wrong, the main event is usually 5 people in that King of the Mountain match, right? Isn't that Jeff Jarrett's the reverse ladder match?
Yeah, exactly.
We had the goal was to put the title onto the hook. It was a reverse ladder match. It was a weird concept.
Exactly.
Regardless of the ladder match or not, their history is always 5 people in the main event,
which they had lined up.
Now we're down to 3.
Yeah, exactly. They had 5 lined up for this year. Now they're down to 3, and it's, I don't want to say unimpressive, but what you had that great series of matches between Elgin and Eddie Edwards, and you had both of them in there. You had Tessa originally was going to go against just the 2 of them, so that was going to be very interesting. Now you're down to Eddie Edwards and Trey and Ace Austin. So I don't know if by July 18th we'll have a new stipulation, some new gimmick or wrinkle to the match, but they're dropping like flies. But July 18th there could be a very much a B12 shot to the roster. So
now as the question I guess I want to ask, do you think they'll just leave it as a triple threat? Do you think they'll announce 2 more people, or you know what, this could be just, I wouldn't say part of the plan. I mean, if they really weren't, if they weren't imagining Tessa Blanchard to be there anyway, then trouble. Do we have some of these mystery people actually being in? Like, can we see EC3 and we can call him Ethan Carter III again? Like, do we have surprise entrances? Do we have the last 2 spots filled by champions from other companies?
That would be fantastic. I'd certainly love to see it. I don't know for sure, but I'm not sure. Do we see EC3 maybe show up and go right after what I would imagine he'd start referring to as his title? You got Moose walking around with that TNA Wildcat belt. Does he put himself right in whatever winds up being the Moose storyline there, or does he go straight for the Impact title? I would imagine they want to give a little more juice to what they have right now, the 3-way. So
I would very well be right. Too. I just feel like that title is suffering right now. It's been off TV for such a long time, longer than Brock Lesnar's held the Universal title off TV in his longest stint. The Impact Championship has just been in Mexico. Apparently, that's where her fiance lives. I think I caught that in some kind of article. That's why Tessa Blanchard's in Mexico, randomly in Mexico.
Her and Daga. Yeah. Her and Daga are hanging out down there in Mexico. But I mean, like you said, we haven't even seen the belts. You almost wonder, have they had maybe have a new belt created in the time that they've had off?
Yeah.
I mean,
and he said Moose is doing a great job, and I want to bring up a couple more points before I make our Impact picks, and then we'll move on. But Crazy Crazy Steve is absolutely amazing. Why WWE or anybody didn't sign him when he was a free agent?
Yeah.
I could be a fake champion. I could be a fake champion. It was I'm blind and I can see that you're not a champion. John Smith, Crazy Steve is legally blind.
No.
He's a professional wrestler, and he tells Moose, I'm blind and I can see that you're not a real champion. Oh, he's got this Joker laugh. Like, he is an amazing character, and I had such high hopes for him in NXT. And they just never pulled the trigger on Crazy Steve. We'll get to that match in a second. The other two things I want to get to you real quick. Madman Fulton and Eddie Edwards tore it down in the main event last week. I again, just like the Akira Tozawa's Ninja, I did not realize how big Madman Fulton is.
Absolutely.
And Eddie Edwards really isn't. I know he's not the biggest guy. He's not exactly a small guy either, and he made Eddie Edwards look small.
Certainly did. Yeah. Yeah. Edward. Maybe it's just who's left on their roster, but recently I had come to realize that Eddie Edwards was bigger than I thought. And then all of a sudden you see him next to Madman Fulton and get ragdolled by him a couple times, and you think, good golly, that's a large man.
Yeah. He got the win. He got the pin over Eddie Edwards. It was a minor distraction by Ace Austin, but it looks like Madman Fulton was using some kind of like swinging end of days as his finisher. It was a pretty cool looking move.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that if you want to bring up again, we were talking about in pre-production meeting, D'Lo Brown.
Yes. Yes, they did some interesting stuff with D'Lo. They had him earlier in the show, hanging out backstage with a laptop set up on some of the cases, and was Reno Scum, I think, passed by him and were busting his chops about being a corporate stooge, and oh my God, you went from they actually dropped in the first segment. Oh, you went from an aces and eights to being a lackey and hanging out on the laptop and doing corporate business. And later, they ended the show after the main event, going backstage again to D'Lo. He was now he was talking to the computer as if he was on a Skype call or something, although you couldn't hear the other end. And he said, "I'm tired of being the corporate stooge. I want to get the band back together. All right, I'll talk to you next week, or I'll talk to you tomorrow or something." He shuts his laptop, he gets up, disgusted, starts to walk off, and as he gets out of his chair, you see that he's left behind him his aces and eights cut, laying over the chair, and he reaches back and grabs it, exits screen right, show goes off the air. Some interesting stuff.
You think it's a coincidence that they aired footage of Doc Gallows being revealed as an Aces and Eights member as one of their Impact flashbacks. Right. And then I got to bring up SpongeBob. Bring up a lot of SpongeBob with Impact. Apparently, rumor going around that Luke Gallows, Karl Anderson, they're making their way to Impact.
Yeah, last I saw, that was marked as a done deal. So.
And what I read in that stipulation as well, and this is big for them. It might not be big for a lot of people, but they have the right to go wrestle for New Japan as well if they so choose to. So I think that'd be a pretty good cross promotion for Impact. Like, hypothetically, if Gallows and Anderson show up at Wrestle Kingdom with the Impact Tag Team Championships,
sure,
that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and you would imagine Impact's schedule allows for that. They tape, I don't know, what winds up being 2, 3, sometimes 4 TV segments or shows in a weekend. When they get a building together, and so that gives them plenty of time to head over to Japan and do that circuit. So it makes a lot of sense.
Maybe they do like an Impact Bullet Club. Maybe it's not Aces and Eights. Maybe they just like, all right, D'Lo, put that away. We're gonna join another club.
Well, funny you should mention that, because as we were talking about in pre-show, I tried to break down that 40-second, a former champion is coming back video, and the only people who appear in the video more than once, there was you get Angle, Kurt Angle, Eric Young, Mr. Anderson, James Storm, blah 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 blah. People who appear more than once are Angle, I believe, but he's the one that I'm going to throw out. But specifically, EC3 appears twice, Gallows appears twice, Anderson appears twice, once very visibly in a Bullet Club t-shirt. I don't know what to think of that, but I figured it was worth mentioning.
Tyler, actually, when that video first aired, way back when Tyler hosted the show with me, that was when that video came out, and that was how did they get New Japan footage? I'm like, I don't know, but I guess. But yeah, so that'd be pretty interesting. All right, John the Connie, we're gonna run through these Impact matches real quick. And then we can move forward. We got Suicide and Chris Bay. Now, Chris Bay actually pinned Willie Mack last week. He has earned the right to challenge Willie Mack now for the prestigious X Division Championship. I still think that belt is prestigious. I still think that title is prestigious. I fell in love with all the guys that came before Willie Mack, and I love Willie Mack as well. I'm looking forward to that. But first, Chris Bay's got to get past Suicide, another X Division staple.
Yes, and you know, Suicide is fantastic, but you got Bay pinning the Impact or the X Division champion. You've got him already lined up at the pay-per-view for a title shot. He's got to keep it going here.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. Interesting tag team match. I mean, I think these two have had some issues in the back, some run-ins in the back. Actually, with the whole jumping of Trey of the Rascals. TJP, our friend TJ Perkins, and Falaba. They're gonna fight Reno Scum. Now, I never really knew Reno Scum. I've seen them twice now. I like these two. Great name for them. Great gimmick. Everything is just perfect with those two.
Yeah, they definitely come off as a pair of scumbags like they're going for here. And they were the ones who they put the heat on TJP and Falaba during the jumping of trade investigation and whatnot. So they were the ones busting chops with D'Lo backstage.
Yep.
So yeah, it lines up. It should be an interesting match. I'm gonna go with TJP and Falaba, and I really have no reason for it. I think these four will just put on a good match.
Just for fun, I'll go against you. I'll take Reno Scum just because I'm starting to get upon him. I love TJ Perkins. I thought his Cruiserweight Classic one was great. I love him as Cruiserweight champion, especially the heel TJ Perkins. He's great. He's such a great submission wrestler. So I'll go with Reno Scum on that one though. I'll go with them.
That's a great
Peter
name.
Hogan and Havoc in the Knockouts division.
Yeah, here's another one. I'm gonna go with Havoc, simply for the fact that she's the big gal in the match. I think she might toss Kira around a little bit. They'll have their seconds at ringside, no doubt, both of them, in Navia and Steels. But I'm going to go with Havoc in this match.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Havoc, too, only for the fact that actually the two that you just mentioned, Navia and Jersey's own Tasha Steels, I Spy a Jersey Girl with a win last week.
From the Brick City.
Tasha got the win last week, so I think Havoc will get the win over Kiera, and then eventually the tag team match with the four of them is going to happen eventually. Exactly. It won't happen at the pay-per-view because the four of them actually got entered in that 10 knockout gauntlet match, number one contender gauntlet match for Slammiversary. So I guess they obviously that's where they're headed.
Yeah, they'll meet up somewhere down the line, 2-on-2, but yeah, all four of them will be in that gauntlet match.
Yeah, that tag team match will be really good. I'm looking forward to that. We kind of have a double main event here. I'm not exactly sure what'll go on last, what'll go on first, and whatnot. But as we mentioned before, Crazy Steve is going to challenge to be fake champion against Moose. Moose is putting up his unrecognized TNA championship.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you got to go with Moose here. You got to keep that guy. I assume somewhere down the line that the returning champion, or if we get more than one returning champion, someone big's going to get into an angle with Moose over, whether it be over this title, if they decide to hold on, keep it going for some reason, like the old, what do they call it, the Legends title. Maybe they rebrand it along those lines, or if somebody just says, I'm going to beat Moose for it and then put this to bed because it's not the real world title. but you gotta assume Moose is gonna hold on to it. As entertaining as Crazy Steve is, Moose wins here and continues to flaunt himself as the world champion with a title that technically no longer exists.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. And I wouldn't be shocked if Moose goes after these returning guys. Like, hypothetically, say if it is EC3.
Yeah.
Moose can get right up in his face. He loves flaunting that he has that belt right now.
Absolutely.
And then the other main event, two guys that are going to be in actually one of the guys that's going to be in the main event at Slammiversary, Trey from the Rascals. He's going to fight Big Daddy Madman Fulton that we just mentioned, who he got the win over Eddie Edwards last week. I'm not going to pick against him to beat, Trey's going to beat him. I'm not picking against Fulton right now.
Exactly. Well, not only that, but I think if when I assume you have Fulton win this match, you can then say that Ace Austin goes into this triple threat for the world title, assuming it doesn't get tweaked. Right? You have a triple threat coming up. You have Ace Austin, who will have Fulton in all likelihood in his corner, and Fulton owns a pinfall victory or at some kind of victory over both of the other two men in the three-way.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, he's a big, nasty dude, too. He's a good guy for Ace Austin to have in his corner. So that's going to be a good show tonight. I'm looking forward to that tonight. We will be off air in time for the show at 8 o'clock tonight. Impact is on Access TV for those of you following at home.
I'm going to start watching it.
What's that?
I'm going to have to start watching it so I can get involved in these conversations.
Yes, please help me out. Please.
So I'm sure it'll be over at my house for Slammiversary, so definitely try to maybe get an episode or two in beforehand just so you know what's going on, because it's going to be a really entertaining show, especially with the surprises they have. And specifically, if it's Gallows and Anderson, if that is true and they did sign, the North are in trouble.
Reno Scum is already my favorite, though.
Reno Scum, you got to see these guys, John. John Smith, if you've been quiet, we'll start off with you. How awesome the WWE Then Now Forever. It ran, and then it goes to the ring, and you just see Samoa Joe, like, kind of shoulder shrugged, with Asuka, Bayley, and Sasha Banks just going at it with the contract signing. I don't know, John Smith, go for it. What do you got with this?
Very unique way to start the show. I loved it. It seems like something Heyman would do, but Heyman's not there anymore.
Right.
But who cares who's writing it? I really liked it. I love Samoa Joe in the role he's playing as like a moderator, but still a badass.
Yeah.
Or bad bleep. Did I?
No. We've said that 3 times already, so we're good.
Okay.
We're not throwing off YouTube yet, so we're good.
I mean, the turmoil itself was, it didn't lead to anything because eventually they were all seated and calm or whatever you want to say and cut their promos, and then it went back to them fighting each other again. But to open it that way, it really catches your attention.
It did, and then during the promos, two noticeable things happened. Drew McIntyre is letting Dolph Ziggler pick the stipulation for their WWE Championship match at Extreme Rules, the Horror Show. John DeConnie, if you were Dolph Ziggler going against Drew McIntyre, what are you picking?
Maybe no holds barred, and maybe Bobby Roode, or some kind of DQ where maybe Bobby Roode comes back and interjects himself since he was part of the trade that brought Ziggler over. Yeah, because otherwise, neither one of them have notable submission maneuvers. I don't think McIntyre's knees want to climb a ladder. So I don't. Nothing kind of writes itself for me. You don't want a tall man up there on the ladder. The amount of times you wind up falling off.
Yeah. John Smith, if I'm Dolph Ziggler, I'm going to try to make the big man run out of gas here. I'm going to go Iron Man match, something that I know I can do. I've done it before, and I've done it recently. And as I believe it was you guys who had this conversation with, an Iron Man match would be good with an empty arena because no one's going to count down from 10 to 1 every minute. So that's what I'm doing if I'm Dolph Ziggler. I know it's really not an Extreme Rules type deal, but if I'm Dolph, I'm going to try to run him out of gas.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think that's what's going to happen, though. I don't think they're going to give them an Iron Man match. The only way Dolph can win is if it's maybe a cheerleading competition and he brings back his old green hair. But I'm going to go with Mr. DeConti here and say there's some sort of no DQ match, whether it's a steel cage or whatever you want to call it. And Bobby Roode, I do see getting involved because they have mentioned him in the past couple weeks, haven't they?
Yeah, Dolph said he was a part of the trade. Yeah, and like I said, Dolph's got him in the back, and he's mentioned like my tag team partner. So maybe he does have a trick up his sleeve where maybe Bobby is back over the border. Apparently, the Singh brothers are not, because I actually just saw something on Twitter. They sent Renee Young a Canadian care package from Canada because Renee got hit with the COVID, and they're trying to be nice and send her some Tim Hortons and whatever else is up there. That was a fun little Twitter exchange between those guys. And the second, the most important thing, bringing back up Sasha Banks. I forgot she had the ink stamp when she signs contracts. I almost fell out of my chair. Just, boom! Just smacked her name, and it was bedazzled, and it was absolutely brilliant. This has to be the first time in a long time. The only time I remember her with the contract signing and doing this was back in NXT with Bayley and the Iron Woman match that they main evented, the first women's main event. John Smith, anything you want to go with? That was incredible.
I think that's brilliant. I don't remember her doing that the first time. You had mentioned that she'd done that once before, but I thought it was brilliant. I didn't see it coming. I was like, what the heck is she doing? And I was like, that's a bedazzled stamper right there. Unbelievable.
Like I said, you got every time Sasha Banks up, and she just does something even better. John DeConti, anything you want to add to that, or do you want to move forward?
No, it got me too. Unlike yourself, I hadn't seen it the first time around, so it took me completely off guard, and it fits perfectly with her character.
There was a funny contract signing because Bayley was the hugger at the time, and she just won the title, and it was Bayley's first contract signing, and she was all excited to fight because she knows it, and Sasha walked away from it. She's like, "You're not even going to fight me at the contract signing?" Sasha's like, "No," and she took the ink stamp, bang, and then she walked away. It was the first contract. I think they ended up fighting anyway, but Bayley's like, "This is going to be the first contract signing that no one fights at." A little bit of a bleep show on Raw. You got the Big Show. You got Andrade and Angel Garza and Zelina Vega. You got the Viking Raiders. You got Ric Flair. Why have, I guess, John DeConti, because John's going to answer for the last. I'll do this. Why are you going to have this thing? First of all, why are you going to split up Andrade and Angel Garza? I don't agree with that at all. Two, if you are going to do it, why are you going to have them beat the Viking Raiders only to split them up? Like, why are you going to make the Viking? I don't know. John DeConti, you want to help me out with this one?
Yeah, that had me throwing things at the television because I don't know how much I'll be on the podcast with you in the future, but you will. There's a couple things you'll hear me complain about quite often. Sometimes the women's division trying to pull off moves that they're not strong enough to pull off, and therefore having botches in their matches. I tend to go after, I believe last week when I brought up Strong and Stone, odd names in the wrestling business. And another thing you will see me complain about quite often is Vince McMahon's complete lack of respect for the tag team division. How do you have someone as dominant as the Viking Raiders? Okay, they finally got their the Street Profits finally got their W over them last week. Yep. And this week you turn them into gatekeepers against Garza and Andrade. If you were going to have Andrade and Garza beat them, have them beat them for the title so then they can eventually turn on each other and maybe go after the U.S. title or something like that. Don't waste a good team like the Viking Raiders having them get beat cleanly by two guys who are already falling apart as a team themselves.
Yeah,
it makes any sense to me.
John Smith, I completely agree. I understand if obviously if Garza and Andrade are the next in line, then why I don't know why have them fight? I don't get it.
I mean, I guess maybe it gives them some credibility in the tag division if you take out the Viking Raiders. But the Viking Raiders have been on not a losing streak, but they lost last week to the Street Profits. They're not giving a good rub to anybody right now by losing by laying down for anybody. So yeah, I agree with you guys. It doesn't make much sense that would happen, but maybe it's just leading them to being a dominant tag team for a long time, or for the foreseeable future, at least. One would hope, because I love seeing the both of them in the ring.
Yeah. On a more positive note, maybe something a little more fun. R-Truth got his 37th 24/7 championship. When this started, I was like, maybe he can beat Raven's record. He not only beat Raven's record, I think Raven was 23. He just destroyed Raven's 23 reign hardcore championship run. Anything you want to throw out there about R-Truth? And the funny thing is, actually, I'll throw this out there for you. When he was in the back talking to Cedric the Entertainer and Richard O'Shea, which was hysterical, he's looking around like someone's going to jump him, but they fired everybody that's going to jump him. Like, no one wanted to chase him anymore. So I thought that was kind of a funny little thing, too. But anyway, anything about R-Truth? John Smith?
The title belongs with him or around him, but he's definitely typecast himself into this for the rest of his career, unfortunately, unless they get rid of the belt altogether. That being said, I love that he's like such a multiple-time champ, and every time he's on my screen, it makes me smile, so I can't complain.
Yeah. What's up? Every time I hear that music, you just can't help but smile. Couple more points just to bring up, just to blow over real quick. We don't really need to discuss Peyton Royce's that spinning suplex for the win. That was pretty awesome. I was impressed by that. I thought when she hooked her, I thought she was going to go with the perfect plex, which she does pretty damn close. Kurt Hennig smiles every time she does it. But she lifted her up and then the spinning thing and got the pin over Ruby Riott. I enjoyed that. As you see, we're kind of maybe throwing Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan back together again. Everything between Apollo Crews, MVP, Bobby Lashley. Now you're going to add Ricochet and Cedric the Entertainer, or Cedric Alexander. I'm doing it too now. That's going to get interesting over the next couple weeks. I kind of want all of them together to just destroy everybody on Raw, but I don't think there's enough guys now with them being hit by the COVID and whatnot coming up. I don't think there's enough time for them. They're going to be great matches against each other. I thought Crews and MVP was pretty good together. Again, Andrade and Angel Garza did a Rick Martel and left Andrade in the ring to be beat up by the Big Show. Again, I don't know where we're going with that with them. Why make them fight when they're supposed to be the next in line for the titles? But Sasha Banks, like I said at the top of the show, Sasha Banks, we're going to bring her up again because she got a big win. She pinned the champ. Does this change anything going? I know we got to talk about this in a couple of weeks. Are we giving Sasha a chance now to become two belt Banks or Banks two belts, or what is she calling herself now?
Two belt Banks, yeah.
Two belt Banks.
Yeah.
Johnny, come on, are you going to give her a shot now? Or is this just a setup? We still got another 2-3 weeks until this happens, right? 2 weeks.
Yes, I think she's always got a chance because she's Sasha Banks, but I'll never presume to know what Vince McMahon has in his head, but I think if it doesn't eventually lead to Sasha versus Bayley, it doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't see why you would take the title off of Asuka. So I'm still going to go with Asuka.
All right, John Smith, it's going to be another 2 weeks to keep this going, this feud going, but are you giving Sasha any bit of more of a chance? I know you're a big Asuka fan.
No. I think eventually the way it goes is Sasha fails, then Bayley has some snide remark to be like, yeah, well, I got two belts and you don't. One of those kind of things. You could be as big of a champ as I am, but you couldn't do it. So, yeah.
Okay, John Smith, we'll great transition right there. Thank you very much for it. Because on SmackDown, Nikki Cross won a Fatal 4-Way, and now she will be challenging Bayley at Extreme Rules as well. So her title's on the line too. She could be was it Bayley Dose straps? That could end as well. You're gonna give Nikki Cross a shot here. I'm giving Nikki a shot.
No, I don't give Nikki a shot. I think they're going to have a hell of a match, though. I think this is going to be Nikki Cross is coming out, and if she nails this, then it's going to lead to her turning on Alexa in the future to get her like a real nice singles push, I think.
I'm thinking, when they did this Fatal 4-Way, I pegged Nikki Cross right away because if you're going to have a pay-per-view called The Horror Show, Nikki Cross has got to be on it.
Right.
And I'm giving, and Nikki Cross might win. It might, with just a show like this. And you know what? There's going to be maybe some kind of weapon stipulation. Nikki Cross. Somebody just put on Facebook or some kind of highlight. I think it was the NXT Facebook page. It was like the 3 or 4 year anniversary of the last woman standing match between Asuka and Nikki Cross on NXT TV, which was they just killed each other. So Nikki Cross knows how to do all that. So you got Nikki Cross going for SmackDown. I'm giving Nikki a shot, but to tell you the truth, John LeConte, I would love nothing more than Bayley and Sasha Banks to being the 2-woman power trip equal to what Triple H and Stone Cold was together back in the day.
True, absolutely. But yeah, I'm always going to give Nikki Cross a chance because of that match you just named was one of the first episodes of NXT when I really started watching it. And I have loved Nikki. Every week when you say you give your shout out to Alexa Bliss, in my heart flutters for Nikki Cross because she's been my girl ever since that match. So I will always give her a shot.
Yeah, well, Nikki, maybe she has been buoyed on Twitter, but no, Alexa's been down lately. I think she's been back up there. Actually, no, she's been down still. Her boyfriend was threatened on Twitter or something like that. SmackDown was kind of a lighter show because of COVID concerns that broke out. They started the show with a 45-minute replaying of the Boneyard match from WrestleMania, which was a great match, nothing against that, and a lot of tributes to The Undertaker. With all that, Baron Corbin comes out. The Undertaker sucks. Baron Corbin, again, I don't think Baron Corbin gets enough respect and enough credit as being one of the best heels in the company. John DeConnie, I know you absolutely hate Baron Corbin. He's doing his job.
Yeah, well, exactly. I think Baron Corbin is positioning himself to be a bigger version of what Miz was. I absolutely detested Miz. I was almost physically nauseous when he was the world champion. But in retrospect and in watching him, I'm never blown away by the technicality of his matches. The guy just goes out there and does what he's supposed to do. You hate him, but he puts on a safe but entertaining match and gets the job done as a heel. And that's exactly what Corbin is doing. And right now, I'm not seeing through it yet. I still absolutely detest him, but he's doing what he's supposed to do.
John Smith, Jeff Hardy came out. He took exception to the comments. He was playing the role, I guess, as the one representing the old school, the Attitude Era for the Undertaker. I think Jeff is actually the senior guy on that roster, right? I don't think anybody else that was around in the Attitude Era. I think Jeff might be the last one.
Probably.
Match between Jeff Hardy, he beat Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin got a lot of finishers towards the end of that, including Matt Riddle. Anything you want to comment on that?
No, I kind of looked at this show as separate from what they're doing. Like, I don't think this is going to lead into anything else, like Jeff Hardy versus Baron Corbin angle or anything like that. I think it's just, it was the Undertaker show. You disrespected the Undertaker. Undertaker's my friend. He didn't hold me down. He did that match with me on Monday Night Raw, that kind of thing. So I felt like it was just like a one-show story, and then they're going to get back to normal next week.
And Sheamus is going to do his toast. That was delayed 1 week. That's back on. He's going to toast Jeff Hardy next week so we can resume that feud. One last point with SmackDown. A Wyatt Swamp match. for Extreme Rules that is a non-title match. John DeConnie, any initial thought on this?
I think it's just WWE riding the wave. They brought Matt Hardy back into the fold a couple of years ago, and I guess he got in somebody's ear and said, I know you guys don't pay much attention, or maybe you're not allowed to pay attention, but look at the great stuff I was doing over there in Impact. And now it seems like they are, especially with the constraints that they have right now with the empty buildings and whatnot, they're taking every opportunity they can to do something cinematic.
Yep.
And I just hope it's cinematic on the scale of Boneyard as opposed to cinematic on the scale of previous Wyatt pre-tape matches.
Yes. The Firefly Fun. Oh, that was fun. I don't think we put that in the conversation, but I know I believe it was called the House of Horrors. John Smith, you mentioned it last week. I don't think there's going to be a house involved. Maybe there will be. I don't know. This, Randy burned it down the last time I checked.
Hey, the Fiend could have rebuilt it with his mind.
That's a good point.
Something stupid like that. But I don't know about the way they're going with this. I mean, it is going to be cinematic, but why is it non-title? Is it because they know that we know that there's no way Braun Strowman's losing the title to old school Bray Wyatt, so they're just going to throw us for a loop? That way we don't know how the hell the match is going to end.
Yeah, maybe it's personal now to the point where maybe the title is just not involved. Would you want to bring a Universal title to the Swamp? I don't know. Is there going to be a referee there? There's going to be some questions. I don't even think there's going to be a referee there. I think this is going to be just like the Boneyard, where it's just going to be two guys fighting, and maybe Bray falls in the Swamp, Braun wins, and then you just see the Fiend glove pop up out of the Swamp at the end, and that's where you go to SummerSlam with. So, we got to stay tuned for that. So, Extreme Rules is shaping up. Not looking too bad so far. I'm going to do a brief, quick rundown. I know we got a little bit of time left. I want to save as much time as possible for Fyter Fest. New Japan Cup starts back up tomorrow morning, I guess, Eastern time. It was a lot of fun. The first half of the second round matches was a lot of fun. One match specifically I want to talk about. A gentleman by the name of Toru Yano. He is the entertainer that's out there. He's the guy that behind the referee's back, he'll take off the turnbuckles and whatnot. So he was fighting Hiromu Tanahashi from my boys from the LIJ, who's actually also the junior heavyweight champion, their version of the cruiserweights. He's their top small guy there. Tanahashi came out with a helmet on. And there's no English commentary. I'm like, what the hell is going on right now? Why is he wearing a helmet? He's been playing this paranoid character. So I just thought he was doing something for his character. Toru Yano comes out and starts chasing him with a pair of scissors trying to cut his hair. So that's why the helmet was on, to make sure he couldn't. The whole match, it was just so entertaining. It was a lot of fun. Toru Yano ended up taping Tanahashi to one of the ringside boys. I don't know if you've ever watched the New Japan event. They have like their trainees outside. They put the ice bags on the losers' necks after the match. He taped his leg to one of them. So Tanahashi was in a three-legged race with this guy pretty much at the end of the match. But Tanahashi ended up taping Toru Yano. He's supposed to be in an elevator, hits the up button, sends him to the ceiling, and then runs back to the ring, a three-legged race back into the ring. And Toru Yano got counted out. It was you don't complain really about a count out, but this was really funny. That was a lot of fun. Toru Yano's he's a good technical wrestler, I guess, to a point, but he does he's not allowed to spit water anymore, so he's got a water bottle and he shoots it in the air like he's misting. Another
Did they do the Mr. Sparkle commercial after?
So yeah, Tanahashi got the win on that. He advanced. He is going to be facing Tomohiro Ishii. The Stone Pitbull, I believe, is his nickname. And if there was ever a nickname to fit a man, the Stone Pitbull, this guy exactly looks like that. He's just one mean dude, and Tanahashi's gonna have his work cut out for him.
That's the former Olympian Ishii.
I don't know any of these guys.
He's a big guy, though, right?
Between Kevin Kelly and Don Callis, they were the last two I knew that did the English commentary for Japan, and Callis ain't there anymore. I don't know if Kevin Kelly is. So I have no idea what these guys back are. I know them, most of them. Taz Ishimori, you know that name, John DeConnie. He was Impact, right? He was X Division champion, the Bone Soldier. Sure. He advanced, representing the Bullet Club. He's going to be into the quarterfinals, and he's got the tall task. He's got Okada in the next round. Okada used the Anaconda Vice on Yuji Nagata to advance. So Ishimori and Okada. What's that?
Say Yuji Nagata?
Yuji Nagata.
He's still working over there.
All these guys, the guy, Ishimori's been around for a while. Yuji's been around, yeah. Yuji Nagata beat the Blue Justice or whatever his nickname. He always has the blue trunks on. He beat Minoru Suzuki in the first round. I was shocked. I couldn't believe that.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's going to be the big quarterfinal match. It's going to be Okada and Ishimori. I'm going to go upset on that one. I'm going to take Okada. That's going to take place on Thursday. I'll get to that in a second. The rest of the second round matches coming up. Kind of an interesting feud. I don't know if it's been started, it's been going on, but at the end of their first round matchup, Taichi, I guess his name is, he beat Takahashi, the Go Ace, the guy that plays the electric guitar, the air guitar. He's one half of the tag team champions. Takahashi. I don't remember. It's very confusing. I'm trying. But he's actually, him and Kota Ibushi are tag team champions, and Taichi actually jumped Tanahashi after the match. Ibushi came in for the save. He got beat up as well, and they're gonna face off against each other tonight as well, tomorrow morning. Anything with Kota Ibushi is gonna be great. I feel like this guy Taichi. I don't want to bet against Ibushi. I feel like this guy Taichi, he's kind of on to something. He's got a very dramatic entrance, very gospel-like. It's a very interesting character. Then the other three matches, I'll make it real quick. Sonata, Bushi, and Evil. I got three of my guys from the LIJ going. I don't think all three of them are going to win, but I'm just going to pick all three of them regardless, just to try to save time here. I think if anyone's going to lose, it's going to be Bushi, but give me Evil and Sonata going forward. Hiromu Takahashi, who I just mentioned again, he's got Ishii in the quarterfinal. I'm going to take Ishii in that one. I'm going to go with Ishimori in the upset over Okada. And then pretty much by the time we're back on air next week, the semifinals will be complete. And hopefully I'll be talking about the New Japan finals with somebody. By looking at this list right now, give me Ishimori, give me the Bone Soldier, and give me my boy Evil. That's going to be my prediction for the final. God knows, if I'm right, you may never hear the end of this. I'm kind of just looking at my list right now. I know I didn't make pictures. I'm kind of going on as I go. But give me Evil. Give me Ishimori. You got Bullet Club versus the LIJ. I like that. So that is our New Japan update. Like I said, there's 3 straight nights coming up at the New Japan Cup. It's going to be fun 3 mornings for me. But now it is that wonderful time. It's time for Dynamite, ladies and gentlemen. AEW. Before we get into Fyter Fest, we had a couple things that took place going into that are involved with night 2, so we'll get into that real quick. As FTR beat SCU in a really good match. I'm a big fan of SCU. Obviously, FTR everybody loves. Then the Blade and the Butcher came out, took their truck, and then all of a sudden the return of Pentagon. I smiled. John Smith, I've been talking for God knows how long right now. I need a drink of water. You can take it from here with this match.
That was a solid match between FTR and SCU. Nothing I could really point out that happened in the match, but it was just a nice, solid match. Afterwards, it was great to see them come back, though. Sato Miedo, right? And then the Butcher and the Blade. I'm kind of indifferent about them right now. When I first saw them, I loved them, and it wasn't because of the bunny. But now, like, they're kind of corny. Like, is it on purpose, or do they just not know what they're doing?
I haven't seen him enough to give that opinion. John DeConnie. Here we go real quick because the FTR Dax Hardwood, right? I got that one right. Dax Hardwood.
Dax Hardwood and Cash Wheeler.
Yeah, Dax got on the mic saying, "You're not at the kiddies' table anymore. You're eating with the big boys." And here come the Blade and the Butcher in their truck, stealing their truck with Pentagon and Phoenix. Your thoughts? I guess I Blade and the Butcher. What do you think? The verdict's for me. The verdict's not out yet on him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like John Smith said, I liked him when I first saw them. I will admit it did have something to do with the bunny. But, they came out.
She's an impact girl, John. She's an impact girl. That's
But, yeah, they were kind of badasses. They wore all black. Now, all of a sudden, they look like they're in little sailor outfits. I don't understand what they're doing. Like it's almost as if this was the 1980s, they went from wearing all black to wearing all white. You'd think it was a face turn, but clearly that's not the case.
No.
They're not changing their characters. They just seem to kind of be in limbo. But I do think that once we get the Bucks and FTR and all that, we get them all involved. And now you bring back Pentagon and Phoenix. I think that's going to be an 8-way wow fest. So.
Yeah, I think Phoenix has been back. I know he got hurt during the casino ladder match, but I think if Pentagon was in Mexico, how did he get over the border? All right, I'm going to bring it.
He should have snuck Tessa out in his luggage.
Put Tessa in one of his masks, right? You'll never know. One more thing, and then we'll get into Fyter Fest. And just because Chris Jericho's promo was great. Why did the chicken cross the road? It's a funny joke. It's kind of stupid, and it was a great comparison to what a heel would think Orange Cassidy is. Now I don't want to compare Orange Cassidy to the joke, but John Smith, I laughed hysterically. And actually, I have my own little comparison with Orange Cassidy that you're going to be kind of far fetched, but I'll let you go with this now.
Yeah, it was a good promo by Jericho. I really don't have much to say about it, to be honest with you. I'm really looking forward to the match, though. The Cassidy versus Jericho match, I think, is going to steal the show.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll do that just with Orange Cassidy's wrestling. Now, the funny thing was, and this I might get if this show was more famous than it was, I might get blasted for saying this by Twitter or whatever. But I think the fact that we're still new and not that many people are watching, I'll get away with this right now. Somebody once. When they were talking about The Undertaker, and I don't know if it was The Last Ride or if it was his Austin podcast or The Undertaker's like, well, what do you want? Just go slow. You're slow. You move slow. Everything you do is slow. And then, boom, you catch him. You go 90 miles an hour. And that's Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy is the modern-day Undertaker. How weird is that, right? Like, it's like half true, though.
How's that not on a crawl?
Right there.
Have we ever seen Orange Cassidy and The Undertaker in the same place at the same time? But seriously, that's exactly what Orange Cassidy is. It's slow, and then it's shot out of a cannon.
Yep.
That's exactly what they wanted to do with The Undertaker back in the day. That was his whole thing. I thought that was, I like my comparison. I don't know why the chicken crossed the road. That's a pretty good comparison. All right, gentlemen. So we're gonna get into Fyter Fest. Just let me get my graphics ready because we're gonna do this. Boom! We're changing the logo up top. There we go. We're gonna start off where I know you guys missed Double or Nothing. You guys weren't around for the first part of the show. I didn't do that bad. Like I said, Tyler's in first place overall because he's been doing very well in WWE. Between AEW and NXT, not so much. But Fyter Fest coming up. First match, if you want to talk about. And I want to talk about this one first because that lumberjack match on Dynamite this past Wednesday between Wardlow and Luchasaurus, I have never seen more useless lumberjacks in my entire life. John DeConnie, you want to go for that? You want to go on this one first?
Yeah, not much to say about the action outside the ring, but yeah, the action inside the ring was pretty good for a big Haas match. I thought they did quite an interesting job, cut quite a few surprising high spots, and deliver
the
the.
there to catch him. I think that's the reason why they made it a lumberjack. So Luchasaurus can do backflips off the freaking stage.
And the match ends with an F10 because it's twice as good as an F5. As far as I'm concerned, that makes it worth the money for my ticket.
Yeah, Wardlow did. He moves pretty well. I think Luchasaurus. I wanted to say he was hands down the best looking, the best moving big man I've seen in a long time. And then all of a sudden you see Madman Fulton. We'll see him again tonight. You got to keep an eye. That'd be a fun match, Fulton and Luchasaurus. Who do you got in this one, John Smith?
I got MJF and Wardlow, if only for the fact that they always tell us that MJF is undefeated in 2020, and he's effectively undefeated overall because he hasn't been pinned in AEW yet.
Yep.
I love Wardlow. He's watching that lumberjack this week, that lumberjack match this week. I got a big feel of Rhino out of him for some reason. He just made me feel like maybe it's just because he was wearing the same type of tights and he's a similar type of wrestler, but I got a big Rhino feel out of him, and I think he's going places eventually.
And any type of feeling with Rhino is a good feeling, John DeConnie.
Absolutely. Yeah, when Wardlow, I think he nipped up in the corner and he was kind of squatting and waiting for Luchasaurus to either turn around or get back up, I kind of got the same feeling. It took me right back to late 90s ECW, the birth of Rhino. So, yeah, I'm definitely going with the heels here. Definitely MJF and Wardlow because, quite frankly, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus will still be loved the next day, even with the loss. So.
Yeah, they never need to win. They can always lose and still have a job.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, it's not like there's any tension anymore. I know there was like some every once in a while here and there, MJF and Wardlow gives him a look and puts him in his place, but I don't see anything like that happening. I'm taking MJF and Wardlow as well. And like I said earlier in the show, as the Great American Bash and NXT are showcasing their strength, and that's their women's division, AEW is doing the same with Fyter Fest and their tag team division. As Private Party with Matt Hardy in their corner are taking on the Inner Circles, Santana and Ortiz. Got a funny feeling Sammy was supposed to be involved in this in some way, shape, or form, but I guess we'll just leave that where it is for now. I don't want to bet against the Inner Circle. I like them. I like Santana and Ortiz. John DeConnie, they're Impact guys as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I do like them and whatnot. I wonder, like you say, I think 100% Sammy was supposed to be involved here, whether it was supposed to be a six-way or if it was supposed to be a classic match with just Hardy and Sammy at ringside, in which case I would have said Private Party would win because it would further the agenda that Matt Hardy has brought in front of Sammy, that you need to get away from Chris Jericho in the Inner Circle and see here's what's happening, blah, blah, blah. Now that assuming Sammy is not involved and Matt Hardy is just there for moral support, I'll go with Santana and Ortiz.
I guess I know who Santana and Ortiz is. I know how long and how great they were as Impact Tag Team Champions. It's only a matter of time before they get themselves in the AEW tag title situation. I'm really looking forward to that. As good as Mark Quinn was against Cody, like I said, that was a great showcase for him. Like I said, I don't think it makes him bulletproof for a couple matches, But I just, if this is a true tag team match, I just can't see Santana and Ortiz losing. John Smith?
I feel the same way. I think Santana and Ortiz are next in line. Maybe not to win the tag titles, but to challenge for them. I see. We could go into that later because I'm not going to talk about who I think is going to win the tag title match yet. But yeah, go ahead.
Ask and you shall receive. Right? The AEW World Tag Team Championship match. That's going to be on the line as well. Night one, Kenny Omega and Hangman Page are going against the best friends, John Smith. I'm sorry. Keep going, brother.
So I definitely see Hangman Page making the heel turn.
You think this is the time they're going to do it?
Yeah, I think best friends win. Does the heel turn happen during the match or after the match? I don't know. I think that's moot. I think it ends up they split. Best friends are champs, and then they Santana and Ortiz come out on the next Dynamite and say, we're next in line. We just beat, whoever. So, yeah.
John DeConnie, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree that this makes sense for I think it's been a long enough run with Page and Omega. I would have expected maybe a more I don't know, front and center team to have been the ones to take it, but I think giving it to best friends, even if they wind up on getting unfortunately tagged with the transitional, gimmick, if you will, that they turn around and lose them pretty quick. That could happen. At least they can, put on their resume that they were AEW Tag Team Champions. I think it's the right time to take it off of Omega and Page and let them turn on each other.
All right, I've been calling for a Page turn here for a while now, and it just hasn't seemed to be happening. And the thing I'm going to turn to right now is they ran a pretty lengthy promo about this match. They didn't have anything on AEW as far as wrestling is concerned. They just had a promotional shoot with all four teams saying how great each other were and blah, 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 blah. And then here comes Jim Ross. Well, how can you trust Hangman Page? Hangman Page. Jim Ross just let the cat out of the bag, which means I don't think they're going to do it now. And honestly, I don't think they're going to do it now because I don't think JR would have said it's the same thing we talked about last week with Heenan. What side is he on? Why say it if he's going to do it? It's got to be shock value. You got to be surprised. So unfortunately, I was with you guys up until Jim Ross said that. So I'm going to go with Page and Omega to retain here, and this is going to keep going. It seems like they're getting along now, anyways. I don't know. Omega's drinking milk with them. While they're hanging out, they're doing their thing. So
why have them keep the titles in such a loaded tag team division, though? They're two singles wrestlers.
I get it, John. I completely agree, but I 3 points on the line here, John. I gotta stay ahead of Tyler and you guys. Any prediction on how many stars Kenny Omega puts up in this match, John DeConnie?
I mean, 25 is the bar, right?
I don't know. I think he did 36 at Stadium Stampede. John Smith, any prediction?
Imagine how many stars it would be if Omega does the heel turn. That'd be the biggest heel turn ever, the most stars of anything.
Wow. I hope that happens someday. I know. It's got to be a pretty vicious heel turn to make him hated. That's the thing. It's like,
That's barbershop window stuff right there.
That's like barbershop through window, like with barbed wire. Like something's got to happen. Going forward, actually, there's 3 title matches tomorrow night at Fyter Fest. Hikaru Shida putting up the women's title against Penelope Ford. Super bad. Penelope Ford pinned Shida to earn this match in a tag team match, and I believe my prediction for that match was Ford's going to get pinned. She doesn't do anything. That she's just there to lay down, and she got the win. And now, so I feel like a complete moron for putting her down, and then all of a sudden she got the win on the match I put her down on, and now she gets a title shot from it. John Smith, what's up? Who do you got?
I think this one's pretty straightforward. It's Hikaru Shida's first title defense. They'll give him a nice 12, 15-minute, time slot to do what they got to do. Shida wins.
All right, John DeConnie?
Agreed. I think it's too, the way they built up Shida, it's way too early for her to drop it. And, if nothing else, Penelope Ford cleanly pinning Shida last week to get this opportunity, or not to get this opportunity, but in that tag match, tells you all you need to know that she's not going to do it again.
I really enjoyed this past week on Dynamite. I guess Shida had a match against some enhancement talent. I guess Ford upset her before the match. Shida went in, dropped this enhancement talent in 2 moves, and then ran right back at him and jumped the guardrail to go after Penelope Ford. So I thought that was pretty fun. Nice little setup for this match coming up. I'm agreeing with you guys both. Hikaru Shida, probably until Britt Baker gets back. Let's put it that way. Even though I know Britt Baker, maybe she's got her hands full with Big Swole at the moment. And then probably what will most likely be the main event for the TNT Championship. Cody against the Inner Circle's Jake Hager. They had a press conference this past Wednesday where Hager, in true Hager form, doesn't say a word. His wife actually threw a glass of water in Cody's face. So I guess that was enough speaking for the both of them. John DeConnie, I'll put you up first on this one. Who do you got?
I'm gonna go with Cody here. I'm more torn than I think I probably should be in this match because if Hager now has his second title opportunity and makes nothing of it, what do you do with him next? But I just think it's too soon for Cody. You know, Cody has been talking about, I'm going to cut the busiest schedule anyone's ever seen with the open challenges and this. And I think it's too early for him to drop the title. It's going to make Hager not come off very well, but I see Cody holding on to it.
I completely agree with that. I would have put money on it that this would have been the rematch with Archer. John Smith, what do you got?
I don't know. I really don't know. Could this be the one swerve of the night where Hager wins? I mean, we got Santana and Ortiz winning earlier in the night. Is it an inner circle night? And then they talk about that going into next week with the Jericho match. You know, I'm gonna go with Hager just because I don't know and I hate Cody.
Yeah, but that's the most important thing. Cody.
It's like how you'll always pick Triple H. I think that I'll always pick against Cody.
So that's it. What are you just overall general consensus? Fyter Fest versus the Great American Bash. What are the thoughts on it? Do you like the war? Do you like the matches? Like, what do you think get the advantage? Just throw anything you want out there. John Smith, I'll let you go first.
I love that NXT decided to put something up against Fyter Fest instead of just going with their normal show. I know we were talking about the Io Shirai versus Sasha match being the main event, but I'd like to see them put the women's 4-way match at the end, just because an elimination match really keeps the interest of anybody, even if they don't care about women's wrestling. Like me personally, when it comes to main roster, I'm not much of a women's wrestling fan. When it comes to NXT, I like it, but there's people that don't like watching it at all. But if it's a 4-way elimination match, it kind of gives you that intrigue, and I'd like to see that go up against Hager and Cody instead of Io and Sasha.
John DeConnie, any thoughts?
I think if you told me I could only watch one, I'm probably going to watch Fyter Fest. But I think it's going to make for a heck of a night, and 4+ hours probably of highly entertaining wrestling all around.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be interesting to see. I know the ratings were. I love that Hunter did this. I know Fyter Fest came out first. They've been promoted for a while. But Hunter's. This is what it's supposed to be. This is only going to make everybody else better. This is going to make AEW try harder. This is going to make NXT guys try harder. And the ones that are going to benefit from it are us. So, I love it. This is turning out to be what Raw and Nitro were way back when, So I'm looking forward exactly. There's going to be 4 straight hours. I don't know what I'm going to watch first. I normally watch NXT first and then watch AEW the next night on delay. I don't think I'm going to be able to do. I think I'm going to have to watch back-to-back.
Why not do one on the TV, one on the laptop?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. There's ways, that's maybe one in Spanish announced, maybe one in Japanese. I've been watching a lot of Japanese. Okay, just a quick reminder. If you want to make your Fyter Fest picks or the Great American Bash picks, and you want to play against us, we'd love for you to join our pool, the Essential Wrestling Podcast pool, at ProWrestlingPick'em.com. Or if you just forget us, you want to just start a pool with your friends, that's what I do. That's what me, John, and John have been doing for the past 5 years. We have our own little pool with us, and we have a lot of fun with it. Like I said, John DeConnie is our first ever champion.
I'm the first ever to have a perfect pay-per-view, okay?
Were you really?
Yes.
Wow.
I remember that because I was the first one.
What was the show?
I think it might have been. It was the first year that you ran it.
Yeah.
It might have been Extreme Rules or something like that. It wasn't one of the major 4 pay-per-views, but
Yeah. Well, you know, I'll look it up for you. I have all that on record.
yeah, with all the stats you got, you could figure it out for me.
Everything's on a spreadsheet and it's not deleted. So, well, I'm gonna take a quick second here. Just want to remind everybody that today is. Oh, excuse me, 1 second. Today is Doubleheader Tuesday. Today, here on the I-95 Sports Networks on YouTube and the Eastern Observer. As at 10 o'clock tonight, Joey Jarzenka is going to be on the Primetime Rundown Zoom interview series with Major League outfielder Scott Hairston. That's episode 25 tonight. I have a list here of everything that I'm supposed to say word for word. And I kind of just got talking about it because the graphic that's on the screen, and I don't know if I just completely botched that advertisement. But it's on the screen for everybody to see. Joey, I apologize, but everyone, please stay with us tonight on the Eastern Observer family of networks, where Scott Hairston, former Major League Baseball player, will join Joey on the Primetime Zoom interview series rundown, the Primetime Rundown. And then we actually have breaking news somewhere in my other area of expertise. I'm proud to be the first to announce that the Primetime Rundown Zoom interview series will be welcoming former Vancouver Canucks and Carolina Hurricanes goaltender Eddie Lack next Wednesday, July 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. For more information, please log on to the easternobserver.com. As a hockey guy, I know exactly who Eddie Lack is. I can't remember if it was Carolina or Vancouver. He had a pretty deep playoff run one year. I'm definitely going to be tuning into that. So, anything else you guys want to say in closing? John Smith, we'll go with you first. Thank you for coming on again, as always. Just to make this announcement too, real quick, you will see John and John every week going forward. John Smith is our senior NXT correspondent. John DeConnie, he gets Tuesday nights in Impact. They will be on every week to discuss wrestling with us, whether Tyler is here or not. So, John Smith, anything you want to throw out there before we talk next week?
No, I'm just really psyched to be a part of this for the long term now. I enjoyed filling in, and I like that I'm going to be the NXT correspondent moving forward because I'll have a lot less that I need to take notes on.
Except when you get the call last minute that Tyler's not showing up again. John DeConnie, anything you want to throw out there before you close us out of the show?
No, just once again, thanks again for keeping me in mind for this fill-in, and thank you for the promotion, as I'm going to call it, to a weekly spot guest to do the Impact segment.
Guys, you guys are filling us in. I know Tyler appreciates what you do for this podcast, especially in the last couple of weeks. He had some family stuff to take care of, and tonight, I wouldn't say impromptu, I guess he just forgot he had something to do. Long story with that. So here are all of us at the Essential Wrestling Podcast for John Smith, John DeConnie. My name is Karl. We'll see you for next week, episode 10. 2 world title matches and a brother versus brother at WrestleMania? Oh, I'm looking forward to that. Again, for John Smith, for King Kong Bundy, John DeConnie. You got Chris Jericho with you again?
Absolutely, always.
There you go, Chris Jericho. My name is Karl. Alexa Bliss, we love you. Don't ever forget that. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks again for joining us. And as always, we wish you the best in all your future endeavors.
Good night.